The unforgivable act. The hospital ship Mercy's Light drifted peacefully through the neutral zone, its hull painted pristine white with massive red crosses visible from every angle. Inside its medical bays, human doctors worked alongside alien physicians, treating wounded from both sides of the ongoing border conflicts. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Neutral ground where the injured could find healing regardless of their species or allegiance. Dr. Marcus Webb finished suturing a Zellan soldier's arm wound when the proximity alarms began screaming. Through the observation deck windows, he watched sleek grey ships emerge from hyperspace, Corvani vessels, their hulls bristling with weapon arrays. The doctor's heart sank. The Corvani had always been aggressive, but surely they wouldn't attack. A clearly marked medical vessel. Communications officer Riley Torres sent out the standard identification broadcast. Corvani Fleet, this is the hospital ship Mercy's Light, operating under Galactic Medical Convention. 7742. We are treating wounded from multiple species, including Corvani personnel. Request safe passage through your patrol zone. The response came, swift and cold. Human vessel, you are harboring enemy combatants. Prepare to be boarded for inspection. Captain Elena Martinez, the ship's commanding officer, stepped onto the bridge. Her weathered face showed years of service, but her eyes held unwavering determination. Negative, Corvani command. We are protected under interstellar law. Our patients cannot be moved in their current condition. What happened next would echo across the galaxy. The lead Corvani destroyer opened fire without warning. Energy beams tore through the Mercy's Light's unshielded hull. The hospital ship had no weapons, no armor, nothing but the sacred trust that medical vessels remained, untouchable even in the darkest wars. Dr. Webb was thrown against a bulkhead as explosions rocked the ship. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red as he stumbled through collapsing corridors. He could hear patients crying out in terror and pain. In the pediatric ward, human and alien children huddled together while medical staff tried to shield them with their own bodies. The Corvani didn't stop with one volley. They systematically destroyed every section of the hospital ship, ignoring desperate pleas for mercy that filled the communication channels. Escape pods launched frantically, but the alien ships targeted them. They wanted no survivors, no witnesses to tell the galaxy what had happened here. Captain Martinez broadcast one final message before her bridge erupted in flames around her. This is Captain Elena Martinez of the hospital ship Mercy's Light. We are under unprovoked attack by Corvani forces. We have 537 patients and medical staff aboard, including Corvani wounded. They're killing their own people. Remember us. Remember what the transmission cut to static 12 hours later. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the command center of Earth's primary military station orbiting Luna. Her black uniform bore the scars of 30 years of service, and her silver hair was pulled back in a regulation bun. Before her, a holographic display showed the debris field that had once been the Mercy's Light. Twisted metal fragments drifted in space alongside medical equipment and personal belongings. The room fell silent as the recovered black box recording played. The voices of doctors and nurses filled the air, their final moments captured forever. Children crying, Captain Martinez's last words. Then nothing but the cold whisper of space. Admiral Chen's hands remained steady, but her jaw clenched, tight enough to crack stone. Around the table sat the highest-ranking officers in Earth's military. Fleet Admiral Jackson, his dark skin showing the strain of command. General Rodriguez, whose ground forces had fought the Corvani on 3 different worlds. Intelligence Director Shaw, whose network of operatives had brought them this footage. How many? Chen asked quietly. 537 confirmed deaths, Shaw reported. Medical staff from 12 different species, patients from 18 worlds, including 43 children in the pediatric ward. The silence stretched longer. These were not politicians seeking votes or diplomats worried about trade agreements. These were soldiers who had sworn an oath to protect the innocent, and they had failed. The weight of those deaths pressed down on every person in the room. Fleet. Admiral Jackson broke the silence. The Corvani High Command is claiming the ship was harboring military assets. They're calling it a legitimate military target. Legitimate. Chun's voice remained level, but something deadly entered her tone. They killed doctors. They killed children. They killed their own wounded who were receiving treatment. She stood slowly, her presence commanding absolute attention. Gentlemen, we have spent 50 years building humanity's reputation as healers and peacemakers. We've offered medical aid to every species we've encountered, even those who shot at us first. We've maintained hospital ships in every conflict zone, neutral ground where the galaxy could remember its humanity. Chen activated the holographic display, showing the locations of every human medical vessel in known space. Dozens of white ships marked with red crosses, scattered across war zones and plague-stricken worlds. The Corvani have just declared that mercy is weakness. They've told the galaxy that healing the wounded makes you a target, that protecting children makes you an enemy. She paused, letting her words sink in. They're about to learn why humanity kept its claws hidden behind the caduceus. Orders went out within the hour. Every human ship in space received the same message: return to Earth immediately. Medical vessels were to be escorted by military craft. No exceptions. The largest fleet mobilization in human history began as vessels from across the galaxy turned toward the Sol system. The Vindication, Earth's newest dreadnought, powered up its engines for the first time since construction. The massive ship stretched nearly 2 kilometers long, its hull bristling with experimental weapons that had never been tested in combat. Admiral Chen would make it her flagship dot. Captain Jake Morrison received his orders while on patrol near the Centauri system. His squadron of 12 fighters was to join Battle Group Alpha immediately. Jake had flown combat missions against pirates and smugglers, but never in a full-scale war. As he read the details of the Mercy's light attack, his hands tightened on the controls. His sister had been a nurse. He knew what it meant to dedicate your life to healing others. On Mars, the orbital shipyards worked round the clock. Engineers who had spent their careers building exploration vessels and cargo haulers now retrofitted them with armor and weapons. The galaxy was about to see what happened when humanity's industrial might turned from creation to destruction. Commander Alina Vasquez coordinated the logistics from Earth Command. Supply lines, ammunition stores, fuel depots, everything needed to sustain a fleet far from home. She had studied the Corvani for years, mapping their trade routes and military bases. Now that knowledge would be put to use. The Corvani Empire controlled 17 star systems, with their homeworld at the center of a network of colonies and military outposts. Their society was built on conquest and expansion, viewing other species as either useful slaves or obstacles to be eliminated. They had attacked human settlements before, probing for weakness. Testing humanity's resolve, they had found steel instead. 3 days after the attack, the human fleet began assembling at the edge of the Sol system. Ships of every class and configuration filled space around the outer planets. Battle cruisers and destroyers formed the main battle line. Fast attack craft swarmed between the larger vessels like angry wasps. Support ships carried enough supplies to sustain operations for months. Asterisk. At the center of it all, the Vindication waited like a sleeping giant. Admiral Chen stood on its bridge, watching the tactical displays show the growing fleet. More ships arrive every hour, their captains eager to avenge the innocent dead. Final count, Admiral, reported her communications officer. 473 vessels of all classes, the largest human fleet ever assembled. Chen nodded. Signal all ships. We depart for Corvini space in 6 hours. This will not be a war of conquest. We're not here to claim territory or demand tribute. We're here to deliver a message the galaxy will never forget. She activated the fleet-wide communication system, her voice reaching every human in the Armada. Citizens of Earth, defenders of humanity. The Corvini have shown us what mercy means to them. They have declared that healing the sick makes you weak, that protecting children makes you a target. They believe humans are soft, that our compassion is a fatal flaw. The bridge crew listened in absolute silence. They're about to learn the truth. When humanity shows mercy, it's not because we're weak. It's because we choose to be better. But when that mercy is thrown back in our faces, when the innocent are murdered for the crime of healing others, then we become something else entirely. She paused, her reflection visible in the massive viewport overlooking the fleet. We become inevitable. Asterisk. When humanity goes silent, the human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Corvini home system like a plague of metal locusts. 473 ships materialized simultaneously, their engines burning like newborn stars against the darkness. The Vindication led the formation, its massive bulk dwarfing even the largest battleships around it. Admiral Chen stood motionless on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical displays showing Corvini fleet positions. 3 orbital defense platforms guarded their homeworld, surrounded by over 200 military vessels. It should have been an intimidating sight. Instead, Chen felt only cold satisfaction. The Corvini had gathered their entire fleet in one place, making her job easier. All ships maintain formation. Weapons powered, but not targeted. Let them see us first. The Corvini response came quickly. Emergency broadcasts filled the communication channels as their commanders tried to coordinate a defense. Admiral Chen listened to their panicked chatter with grim amusement. They had expected humans to file diplomatic protests, maybe impose trade sanctions. They hadn't expected this. Fleet Commander Thakta of the Corvini Navy opened a direct channel. To the human fleet, his insectoid features filled the main screen, mandibles clicking nervously. Human vessels, you are in violation of Corvini territorial space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Chen stepped forward, her uniform crisp and her expression unchanging. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We're here about the hospital ship Mercy's Light. That vessel was harboring enemy combatants. Our actions were justified under military law. Your actions, Chen said quietly, killed 537 medical personnel and patients, including 43 children, including your own wounded soldiers. Thaktar's mandibles clicked faster. Regrettable casualties. But there are no regrettable casualties here, Commander. Only choices and consequences. Chen cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. signaled the fleet. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. All ships, engage at will. What followed wasn't a battle. It was an execution. The human fleet moved with mechanical precision, each ship knowing exactly where to be and when to be there. The Corvani had superior numbers, but humanity had been preparing for this moment for 3 days. Every weapon system had been calibrated. Every targeting solution had been calculated. Every possible Corvani response had been anticipated. Captain Jake Morrison led his fighter squadron against the outer defense perimeter. His 12 ships moved like a single organism, weaving between Corvani interceptors with inhuman coordination. Their new weapon systems, rushed into production after the hospital ship attack, proved devastatingly effective. Quantum torpedoes that phased through shields, plasma cannons that burned through armor like paper. Fox leader to all units, Morrison reported over the tactical net. Outer perimeter is clear. Moving to engage orbital platforms. The first Corvani defense station died without firing a shot. Human stealth ships had been in position for hours, waiting for the signal. When it came, they struck simultaneously at the station's power core, shield generators, and weapon arrays. The massive structure simply went dark and began falling toward the planet below. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with professional detachment. Each Corvani ship that fell was marked and catalogued. No celebration, no cheering, just the methodical elimination of a threat. The bridge crew worked in silence, their movements efficient and precise. Commander Elena Vasquez coordinated the fleet's movements from her position at the tactical center. Years of studying Corvani military doctrine paid off as she anticipated. Their responses before they made them. When the enemy fleet tried to retreat to the outer system, human forces were already waiting. When they attempted to scatter and fight individually, coordinated hunter-killer groups ran them down one by one. Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from multiple Corvani vessels. The communications officer reported. Chen's expression didn't change. Ignore them. Continue the operation, ma'am. Some of them are requesting medical assistance for wounded crew members. Now Chen did react. Her eyes grew cold as winter on Mars. They should have thought of that before they decided medical personnel were legitimate targets. The second orbital platform tried to ram the Vindication in a desperate suicide attack. The massive structure, nearly a kilometer long, accelerated toward the human flagship with its engines at maximum burn. It never made contact. The Vindication's main guns, weapons that had been theoretical until 3 days ago, vaporized the station in a single coordinated volley. Nothing remained but expanding clouds of superheated gas. Captain Morrison's squadron moved deeper into the system, hunting down fleeing transport ships. These weren't military vessels, but they carried Corvani civilians and refugees. For a moment, Jake hesitated. These weren't the ships that had killed the hospital staff. These were just people trying to escape the destruction. Then he remembered the recordings from the Mercy's light, the voices of human doctors pleading for mercy as they were gunned down, the children crying in the pediatric ward, the final transmission from Captain Martinez as her bridge burned around her. All units maintain pursuit. No vessels leave this system. The third orbital platform surrendered without a fight, its crew abandoning ship in escape pods. Human Marines boarded the structure and found it loaded with medical supplies stolen from other hospital ships. Evidence that the attack on Mercy's Light hadn't been an isolated incident. The Corvani had been systematically targeting medical vessels for months. Admiral Chen studied the intelligence reports with growing anger. Hospital ships from 6 different species had been attacked by Corvani forces over the past year. The aliens had been testing the galaxy's response, seeing how far they could push before someone fought back. They had chosen their victims carefully, species that valued diplomacy over warfare, medical personnel who wouldn't fight back. They had miscalculated with humanity. The Corvani homeworld surface was dotted with military installations and industrial complexes. Chen ordered precision strikes on every military target, surgical bombardments that left civilian areas untouched but eliminated the enemy's ability to make war. Weapons factories went silent. Starship construction yards became twisted metal. Military headquarters became smoking craters. Fleet Commander Thaktar made one final transmission from his damaged flagship. "You cannot destroy us all, human. The galaxy will see what you truly are. Monsters hiding behind medical crosses." Chen responded personally, her voice carrying across all frequencies. "The galaxy will see exactly what we are. We are the species that puts healers on the front lines of every war. We are the people who risk our lives to save others, including our enemies. We are the ones who chose mercy over vengeance for 50 years. She paused, watching Thaktar's ship burn in the distance. "And we are the ones who will end anyone who mistakes that mercy for weakness." The Corvani flagship exploded in a bloom of nuclear fire, taking their fleet commander with it. Within 18 hours, the Corvani military had ceased to exist. Not a single warship remained operational. Their orbital defenses were scrap metal. Their ability to project power beyond their homeworld was gone forever. The human fleet hung in space above the conquered world like a sword suspended over the neck of the Corvani civilization. Admiral Chen prepared her final message, the one that would be broadcast across the galaxy on every known frequency. She stood before the camera in her dress uniform, medals reflecting the light from distant stars. Behind her, the massive viewports of the Vindication showed the conquered Corvani. "Homeworld, citizens of the galaxy, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. 3 days ago, Corvani military forces attacked and destroyed the hospital ship Mercy's Light, killing 537 medical personnel and patients. They targeted a vessel protected under every law of civilized warfare. They murdered doctors, nurses, and children whose only crime was seeking healing. The transmission would reach every inhabited world within days, carried by the galaxies, communication networks, and diplomatic channels. For 50 years, humanity has offered medical aid to every species we've encountered. We've maintained hospital ships in war zones, neutral ground where ancient enemies could find common cause in healing. We've asked for nothing in return except the promise that medical personnel would remain safe from harm." Chen's voice remained level, but her eyes burned with quiet intensity. The Corvani had broken that promise. They have declared that mercy is weakness, that healing makes you a target. They have learned otherwise. The camera panned to show the tactical display, marking every destroyed Corvani vessel and military installation. Let this serve as notice. To every species in the galaxy, humanity's medical vessels will continue to serve wherever they're needed. Our doctors will continue to heal the wounded regardless of species or allegiance. Our hospital ships will fly unmarked through war zones, carrying nothing but hope and healing. She leaned forward slightly, her presence filling the screen. "But understand this clearly. If you harm our healers, if you target our hospital ships, if you mistake our compassion for weakness, then you will face what the Corvani face today. We will not negotiate. We will not compromise. We will not show mercy to those who show none to others. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy to contemplate what they had witnessed. A species that had spent decades building a reputation as peaceful healers had just demonstrated the fury of angels with flaming swords. On Earth, memorials were built for the crew of the Mercy's Light. Their names were carved in black stone. 537 individuals who had died trying to heal the wounded. The memorial bore a simple inscription: they chose mercy. We chose justice. The hospital ships returned to their duties within a month, flying into war zones and plague-stricken worlds with renewed purpose. But now they were escorted by human warships, and the galaxy treated them with newfound respect. No medical vessel was ever attacked again. Admiral Chen returned to Earth as a hero, but she felt no triumph. On quiet nights, she would stand on her apartment balcony and look up at the stars, remembering the voices from the Mercy's Light's final transmission. The doctors pleading for mercy, the children crying in fear, Captain Martinez's last words as her ship died around her. Humanity had won a great victory, but the cost had been innocence itself. They had learned that even angels sometimes needed swords, and that lesson would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. The stars would remember the day humanity went silent, and the terrible justice that followed. Asterisk.